What's going on, everyone? It's Blandon here again from Elite 4 TV, and today we have Bronzong. So why Bronzong? We had a discussion, 3 key reasons. Number 1 is some of the key matchups. And if you want to compare it with the other Confusion users, Bronzong will actually beat every single one of them and tie with Hypno. Hypno cannot do the same. Secondly, it's going to have a better matchup against Xatu, very prominent Pokemon that you're going to see as well. And then lastly, one of the most important key matchup is against Skuntank. It's the only Confusion user that can take out the Skuntank. The second reason why you would use Bronzong is if you're using a more glassier team and you need a little bit of bulk to round it out, Bronzong is one of the best. It's got the highest defense, it's got less health than Hypno, but Bronzong can get its second heavy slam quicker than Hypno. Now lastly, the steel damage will actually hit majority of the meta unresisted, and Flash Cannon hits like a truck. Special shout out to Laser Brian, who actually helped ValorAsh to make this video. He made it. It took them 2 hours. Laser Brian, we appreciate you. We appreciate your patience. And shout out to the Nokomis crew. I don't know what that is. It's probably a gang that he's in.
ValorAsh here, ready to present to you yet another Psychic type Pokemon for this Nightmare Cup. And that Pokemon for today's episode is Bronzong. Bronzong, with his unique Steel and Psychic typing, really sets him apart from the other Psychic types in this cup, as it allows him to double resist not only Psychic damage, but Poison damage as well. With Skuntank running Poison Jab, it allows him to win not only the no shield scenario, but the one shield scenario as well, and against Alolan Muck, it allows him to win the no shield scenario. To really solidify him within that Psychic role within the cup, I've elected for Confusion for his fast move, as we know is extremely hard hitting and allows him to hit the fighting types for super effective damage. For his charge moves, I have Heavy Slam for the shield bait and Flash Cannon for insane damage when shields are down and to go for the kill. Without further ado, let's hop into some battles using Bronzong. For today's battles, I'll be going up against Laser Brian, who you might remember from the Xatu videos. Now Bronzong as a Psychic type doesn't really like running into Dark type Pokemon, so I brought along Toxicroak and Drapion for a little bit of support, to take out the Dark types that would otherwise give Bronzong a little bit of a problem. The thing that sets Bronzong apart from Alolan Raichu and Xatu is that he's significantly bulkier than they are, and he can eat the hits that they can't take. So this is not a good matchup for us, as Lucario's power-up punches are going to eat right into Drapion. So I'll just try and whittle away at his health, and I'll bring out Toxicroak, who will inevitably be met by Hypno. But then I'll have Bronzong to finish out the game. So a smarter thing for me to do right there would be to wait out the switch clock, but since I know Toxicroak's going to die anyways, I'm not going to bother shielding this power-up punch. So now I have Bronzong versus 2 of his Pokemon with 2 shields in the bank. Shifter, unfortunately, was one of those types that could just slice right through Bronzong. Even though Bronzong resists Razor Leaf, it's still not a very good matchup for Bronzong. But as you can see, Flash Cannon deals out an incredible amount of damage. So I'll have to shield this Shadow Ball. And pretty much no matter the situation, Bronzong and Hypno always seem to tie with each other. Looks like I'll get him to the end with the last confusion. Nice. One of the downsides to Bronzong is that he's quite a steep dust investment, in that he often requires a lot of rare candy and Stardust to become battle ready, as he's quite an obscure Pokemon. And despite resisting Shiftry's Razor Leaf, they still cut right through him just because Shiftry's attack is so high. So I'm going to swap in Drapion, who's going to eat right into Shiftry. Unfortunately for Poliwrath, I don't have much of an answer except for Bronzong, which I'll bring back in after this matchup. Because both Aqua Tail and Crunch are resisted by Poliwrath. But hey, at least we drew a shield. That's not bad. So I'm just going to not burn any shields on this matchup, as I'd rather save the shields for Bronzong when he comes back in. One of the downsides to Bronzong's steel typing, it doesn't do him any favors against the fighting types, as a lot of the fighting types end up getting neutral damage on him. So I have a Flash Cannon. That'll be neutral damage. Excuse me, it'll be not very effective, but it still is going to pack such a punch that it should either cripple him or knock him out. And we'll round out the game with Toxicroak. Hopefully he doesn't have a Confusion user in the back. He does. So that's good game for us. So for this game, I'm going to try Toxicroak out as a lead. And I'll have Drapion in back to support against other dark types that Bronzong might have a problem with. So again, this is a good matchup for us. We resist Razor Leaf, and we can deal super effective damage back. And we'll be able to knock him out before he even gets a charge move off. I could likely expect a Confusion user switch in. There he is. And I don't necessarily want to lose switch advantage, so I'm going to leave Toxicroak in, because now I have Drapion to clean up with Crunch. And because Drapion's Crunch charges faster than Hypno's Shadow Ball, it puts us in a pretty good position for this battle. Also, Shadow Ball is resisted by Drapion's Dark typing. So I'm going to bring in Bronzong at the end. So I'm going to eat this first Power Punch, as the subsequent Power Punches are going to deal more and more damage. And this is also one of those strange situations where you don't actually want to fire off a charge move because he has 2 shields in the bank, and firing off a charge move now would actually waste a turn instead of dealing guaranteed damage with Confusion. But as you can see, even though Poliwrath was dealing super effective Mudshot damage against Bronzong, he still was able to bulk through the fight. So as you've seen from battles so far, Bronzong can feel slow, clunky, and awkward to use. And it'll really take some time to master him. However, I feel that he can be very rewarding for those trainers willing to put the time and effort into mastering him. So again, while I could switch out Toxicroak and have that energy saved up for a late game Mud Bomb, I'd rather not lose switch advantage. And Hypno isn't going to be too much of a problem for me. So this is a very interesting matchup that I want to discuss. Is this Bronzong Lucario matchup? It's okay, actually, to have a Bronzong with a bit higher attack IVs, as a Bronzong with 113 attack will often find a breakpoint on Lucario, but it's good only for that specific matchup. Otherwise, I would really just want something more bulk weighted. So he must have had pretty good IVs on his Lucario, as that match ended up in a tie. But if I were to try and fire off a charge move, while I would end up drawing a shield, I would end up losing the battle because I would expend a turn on trying to draw a shield and dealing only 1 HP worth of damage instead of an entire Confusion's worth of damage. So I've been leading off with Toxicroak quite a bit, so I wanted to change things up and try out Shiftry. Again, this is a good matchup for Shiftry as long as we don't eat any power-up punches. And it only takes 1 shield to be able to slice through Poliwrath, as he won't have enough time to fire off a second power-up punch. So I'm going to hopefully try and lower Lucario's attack. And Shiftry has actually got some decent attack on him, even though Lucario, with that steel typing, resists Razor Leaf. You can see that Shiftry really just cuts right into him. And as I said earlier, these battles often end in a tie. Especially with equal energy gain. Usually the person with a slight energy advantage will be the one that wins the game. Overall, Bronzong, despite his awkward feel, and he can feel somewhat clunky and strange to use, I feel he'll be very rewarding to the trainer willing to master him. So close. As always, thank you guys for watching. It's been a great pleasure to team up with Blandon and make some content for y'all. As always, I'm going to encourage you to tune in to our PvP Discord, as I'll leave a link in the description. And as always, I'll see y'all next time. Take it easy.